Hey, welcome back. In this video, I'm just going to very quickly show you a special value in Python called none. So none has to have a capital N like this. If I hit enter, nothing actually happens. But if I tried to type it without the capital N, Python freaks out, gives me an error, says none is not defined. It's looking for a variable called none. Just like if I try and ask for, age and it's not defined, I get the same problem. But none is a special case, just like true or false. The purpose of none is just to represent the idea of nothingness. In other languages, you might have come across something called null. If you've worked with other programming languages, none is Python's version of null. If you haven't, that's okay. I'll show you an example of when you might want to use it. Suppose I have a very simple app and I'm asking users for information. Let's say I'm modeling a person. A person has a name, an age, and then some people have a child. And let's just say you only have one child in this world. It's a little dystopic. What I could do, I could ask for a name and set it equal to Daisy or something. Age is 10. Well, okay, that might be a bit young for children. Let's say age is 30. And then I might have a variable called child. But Daisy doesn't have a child. So I'm not going to set it to a name of whatever Daisy's hypothetical child would be. There isn't anything. So instead of not setting it at all, because that would be one option, but then if I tried to access it later by calling child, I get an error. Instead, I can set child to be explicitly none for Daisy, and that way when I retrieve child, it doesn't show up here. If I print child, however, you can see that it still is none. It's just the way that this REPL is set up. We don't see none printed out unless you manually print it. Unlike if I just call name, I see the string Daisy. So using this, I could then follow the exact same pattern, but instead set name to be Dusty. And Dusty does have a child, and child can now be set to Pamela. Sure. So I can call child and I get a value. So again, all none is a way of representing nothingness. Instead of me trying to do something like child equals this, an empty string, or 0 or false, if I just set it to none, it's a clear indicator that there isn't a value here, but there could be. I want child to exist as a variable. I want a container for child, but there's nothing to put in there yet. So Python has a special value called none to do that. And if I look at type of child, it is of none type. And there's only one instance of none type, which is none. So it's a very unique situation. Unlike, type of name, which gives us string, there's more than a million types of strings that we could have, Dusty, Pamela, and so on. But with none type, there's only one, which is the exact value none. Anyway, that's none. I hope I didn't confuse you too much. I just wanted to have you see it now with the rest of the values that we're talking about. It will come up a little bit later when we are making more complex apps and we're doing things like asking for user input or storing data that may or may not look exactly the same, or some data might be missing. We'll start off by setting things equal to none.